All right, so what we're going to use are 2 manila clasp envelopes, or whatever color. The color doesn't matter. Actually, if you have white, it might be better, because then you don't have to do the inking if you don't like to ink, because I'm doing a blue folio and this yellow does not lend itself to the blue folio, so I did a lot of inking. But whatever color you have, you can get a bunch of these. I saved this. I got a couple of packages of 4, and these are 9 by 12, so it's 9 by 12, not including the flap is the 12. 4 of these for $1. So I picked up a few of them, and yeah, it was a pretty cheap buy, but you may have them laying around. And if you don't have 9 by 12, then you may have, you know, something a little smaller, a little bigger, and you can adjust. You'll just not follow my exact measurements, and you'll just have to adjust it as you go to kind of fit whatever envelopes you have. But we're starting with a 9 by 12, and like I said, these are clasp envelopes, so they have a clasp, and I removed the clasp because we're not going to use that at all, and it just gets in the way. It's extra bulk that we don't need. We're going to cover that area anyway, so you can just get rid of it. So that's what we're working with, and the way that we make this look, it's like a lapbook style, is we just slide one into the other and then we fold these in. So that's how we get the folio, or the lapbook style. So what I did was, because I wanted to ink, I went ahead and removed the clasp, and then I inked, because I wanted to ink this a lot and I didn't think it was necessary for you to watch that. We all know how to ink at this point, or maybe you don't know how to ink, but anyway, there's plenty of inking videos out there. Go back to some of my older ones. They're a little laborious to sit through, but yeah, so I just inked this, and what I did was I put these together, and then I inked all around, and I inked this here because we're going to have a gap here when we put this all down, and so I just wanted to get that done. All right, enough said about the inking. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to put one inside of the other, and we're going to glue it down. And then after we glue that down, we're going to actually glue, you know, because we have this opening for our envelope, we're going to glue that down on both sides as well, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be scoring and folding, and if these aren't glued down, it gets to be you know, fidgety, because you got uneven edges kind of popping up on you. So let's go ahead and glue these in place. And I'm just going to pull this down because I might need it. And so this one's going to go in, and that one's going to be on the outside there, okay? So we're going to glue this side of this one, and you want to get the glue really close to the edge. And use a strong glue, because you don't want this pulling up while you're in the midst of trying to get this all set, and when you're folding especially. So you want to get the glue all the way down to the edge. We're going to be covering most of this up with paper, so it doesn't matter if a little bit of the glue goes where you don't want it. And then on this one, we're going to go here. Now we're just going to slide one into the other. Make sure they're both facing the same way. So in this case, I'm seeing what would be the clasp side up. And we're just going to slide this one into the other. I'm just going to put this down here. Okay, and we want to press this in place really well. Gotta tell you, I am loving this thing. I have put together a bunch of book page pockets and stuff this week, and I don't know if my camera's shaking. Hang on one second. I think my light is up against excuse me, the table, and it's knocking my camera. So as I was saying, I was making all these book page pockets, and I had to put two pieces of book page together with glue in between them, and this, you know how you get those bumps and stuff? This eliminated that completely. So I am loving this. Again, I think these are like $1 in Home Depot or whatever your hardware store is by you. All right, so that's down, and now we want to just glue these down, these openings here. We want to make sure that they're glued down tight because we do not want them kind of going all over the place, like I said, while we are trying to fold. So put a good amount of glue in there and seal them up. And we're gonna have plenty of places for pockets and that, so I'm not gonna get into a real advanced kind of keeping that open for pockets type folio for this video series. I wanna kind of keep this so that everyone, including beginners, can kind of make what they want to make. All right, so I'm a little over, that's okay. We'll just make sure that's all spread down. Sure those are down nice and tight and closed really well, and then we'll just wait for that to dry before we start doing any of the folding. Right. Oh, looks like I pulled up all of that. That's okay, we're gonna cover all that, it doesn't matter anyway. I was, this is my glue board and I was inking on it, so it's just adding to the vintagey look. Okay, so that's that. All right, so we're gonna give that a few minutes to dry. And then we're going to score it and fold it all up, and then we'll get to decorating. Okay, the glue is nice and dry now, and we're gonna do some scoring. So again, this is the back side. This is where you see the one flap over, and this is the inside, and this is where we tucked both the pocket in. So what we're gonna do is on each side, we're gonna score at 5 5/8. Well, this is if you have the same size, 9 by 12. If you don't have a 9 by 12 and you're working with a different size, we're going to have a space in the center here. On this one, it's going to be 1 inch. Wherever those outer parts of your measurement here for the spine are, you want to have your flap come over so it is just inside of that. Maybe 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch on the inside of that, and then measure it that way. Because the way this is going to work is these are going to fold in, and then this is going to fold closed, and in the center is where we're going to put your journal. So you want to leave enough space so that you're not binding when you're folding these. So if you're using the 9 by 12, we're going to go at 5 5/8. And I'll show you that better after so if you want to watch this whole, this part through, and then work with it for the sizes you're working with, because you could really do this with any size rectangular envelope that you have. All right, so we're gonna do 4, 5, 6, 7/8. Oh, 5/8. 4, 5/8. 5 5/8. And then 5 7/8. All right, and you're gonna flip it over and do the same thing. So 5 5/8. 5. And 5 7/8. Okay, now in the middle, you want to find your center. So even though there's a line here, we could have misaligned some things. So what you might want to do is just take these corner to corner and line them up, and then find your center, your true center now that everything is glued. okay? And it's basically falling on that line. Yours might be a little different depending on how you glued. And what I'm gonna do is just go a 1/2 inch in each direction from that center line so that we have a full inch spine, all right? So I'm just gonna line this up to the 6 on my scoreboard. I'm just gonna drag down so I make sure I have the 6 inch on the bottom, because you know how you can lose track of that. Then I'm gonna line my center up on the 6, and I'm gonna line the bottom up here. Okay, good. And then I'm gonna go to, in this case, I'm just gonna go over a 1/2 inch from my center to the right and a 1/2 inch to the left. All right, and you're going through a couple of layers, so be careful. You want to kind of balance between giving yourself enough room to cause a valley there, but you do not want to tear your folder. All right, so we have scores on this side and in the center. And now we're going to fold this up. So let's do the center first. I just want to fold in on that crease that we just made. And this is why gluing those pieces down is very important. If we look inside now, you'll see like these would be lifting up and they kind of just become a nuisance. So it's better to kind of do that gluing down before you do this step. It just makes it a lot easier. But if you want to live dangerously, then by all means, leave it open. All right, so let's get a nice crease, and I'm just trying to make sure this is all lined up. All right, nice crisp crease there. And if you want to go ahead and reinforce this center spine with some Tyvek tape or some fabric or something, you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to put a piece of paper in there in the spine, and I think that will kind of hold everything together well. So, but you know, if you want to feel more secure and put, you know, something in here because you feel like it might tear, then you can go ahead. But we have a couple of layers in there now, so I think we'll be okay. All right, so we basically have created a 1-inch spine, and don't worry about this center crease because we're going to put paper, you know, cardstock here and on the inside, so it'll become a lot more sturdy. Now we want to fold these up, so I'm going to fold the inside one, which is the 5 7/8 first, and I'm just going to make sure my edges are all aligned. And so we basically have, I think that's about, what is that, a 1/4 inch gap now on this size. But again, once you get yours, you know, whatever your envelope is, you just want to have, once this is folded in like this, you just want to have a little gap so that you want to be able to put this there and your journal sit between these two items, okay? And this, the reason we're giving ourselves a 1/4 inch here is so that we can, you know, kind of put pockets and stuff and leave ourselves some room here to allow for a little stuffing. So if we get, if our folio gets a little chubby, we have a little room there for all the goodness that we're going to put on the inside. All right. Okay, so that and that. Simple, right? So, like I said, this will fold up, and then we'll have a little space in the center for our journal, however big that may be. And then you can put some fun stuff inside the journal and still have some room. And then this will lay like that. So, very nice. All right, so that is our base. And if you're going to ink, go ahead and do all your inking. What I'm going to do is just ink up these edges and these where I folded now. I didn't want to fold and then, you know, have to I want it to fold with you. So I didn't ink this part. So I'm going to go ahead and ink all this, and then I will be right back, and we will cover these with some of our cardstock. Okay, so I have inked all of those creases, you know, the folds that we just made now. So that's all done. And now we can start, we'll just put the paper on, and then I'll cut this version short, and we'll put some of the decorating and some of the inner spine stuff into part 2. All right, so now we need to choose, well, you don't need to, I'm going to choose some papers to put on each of these pages. So there's going to be 8 all together. This would be what I consider the cover. So we'll have a piece there, and then these are the inner covers. These are the 4 inner panels, and then we have this back panel. So I think I'm going to make the cover and the back panel the same, these 2 the same, and then I'll do these 2 the same and these 2 the same, or you could do these 2 the same and these 2 the same, whatever your choice. And I started cutting. I'm using a paper pack. Woo. I'm using a digital kit from the Journal Boat on Etsy, and this is called Flower Market Blue, though this one piece I think is out of another one of her digital kits. But there are, this is just a portion. These are just the background sheets. There are a bunch of cute background sheets, all different styles. These are so fun. And then there are a bunch of like journal sheets, and these are A4, so they don't quite fit on my letter size paper, but I've cropped them to kind of get components in that I want. And I printed on the other side of some of these, two-sided. There's also a ton, and I already cut this out, although I'm pretty sure you're upset because now you can't sit and watch me fussy cut a bunch of tags and tickets and stuff. But there are some really cute pieces. I don't know, it's kind of like a French garden or a country garden. I don't know if it has to be French country. It could be German country. It could be American country. I don't know. Anyway, there's some cards, and there's some fun the tags, and there's some fun journaling cards or tucks, or just pieces of ephemera that you can kind of use throughout. And then there's some words and some butterflies, just like a lot of fun little components. So those, we have all those in this kit. This is a cute little envelope. This is cute, right? Pre-made, you just cut it out. All right, so, and I always double print, print on both sides on these pieces that I'm going to use inside the journal, because I never know what's gonna be glued down or what I'm going to use for a card or a tug. So that, I'll put the link to that that kit in the description if you want to go ahead and get that for yourself. But you can use any paper that you have around. If you have a paper pack that you love, the last folio that I did in this style, I did with a paper pack from, I think it was Prima, and that was really nice. It was like a rose folio, and I just love that paper pack. But yeah, use whatever you have. You can also just do this with some plain cardstock if you're just trying to go for, a real simple, basic background. So yeah, do whatever works for you. But I did, and now I've hidden them, I did cut out, pre-cut some of these, and then we'll cut some together. So I did these 4 that I chose. Let me just move the rest of this out of the way. It just starts to happen. I don't know, it takes over. Okay, so I have decided I want this and this for the front and back cover, because I think I'm going to embellish this cover some, and then the back can be plain, or I might, you know, do some embellishing there as well, maybe a pocket or something. And then these polka dot ones I thought would be fun for the inside, like this, like so. And this is kind of turned a little, but that's okay. So like that. And so those are done. So we'll just put these to the side. They're already cut. And what I did, I've cut these just shy of the actual size of the page. And I love that look. I'm going to ink around these, and then that'll make them pop. But I just like the way that looks. And plus, especially when you're working with envelopes, if you try to go all the way to the edge, the cuts are odd. They're not really straight, especially if you're folding, and the factory folds just make it a little wonky. So I like to just stay inside the edge. It gives me some room to play with the cuts, and to the eye you really don't notice it that much if it's a little off. All right, just a word of caution there. You do what you want to do, and you could even just stencil this. You don't even have to cover it with paper, if you know, or you could, if you're a really good artist, which I am not, not a hand drawing anyway. You could draw or paint or use your jelly plate pages or something. Okay, so that's what I'm doing for those. And now on the inside, I thought I would use these and these. All right, so I only printed on one side because I knew I was going to glue this down. And these are just under 8.5 by 11 because of my white border, which you should all be very versed in now if you've been watching any of my videos where I use paper, which is basically every video. Yeah, so I had to do 4 sheets. So these are 4 approximately 8.5 by 11. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this just shy of this, which I found to be like 8.5 and a smidge. So 8.5 and about another 1/8 works there. And then I just eyeball the other one. So, and that should work actually for all of these. So let me just make sure. Yeah, these should all be about the same. The inside here will be a little different than, say, the outside, maybe, just because of the way we did this center. But that part is not a measurement anyway. I just kind of eyeball that part. So I'm going to cut 2 of them, just that 8.5 and a smidge. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8, 8 5/8. And I'm going to do that with the 4 of them. Let's see. I don't know if I can cut them all at once, and they're not all the same size from me cutting the white off, so let me just do them individually. And we'll go about there. And you know, if you have directional paper or something, you're going to want to check that it's going in the right direction for you to have it going up and down on this cut. So this would be the way, the long side, you know, you want to make sure you're going up and down on that side if you have directional paper. That's that one. This one is here. Oh, I did print on two. Hold on. I know I printed one without a back. Here it is. Let's use this one. And so about there. And then we'll just cut these, and then we'll put them in place and we'll eyeball them. So I love the colors in this kit. And they print off so nice. So I am just thrilled to be able to do a nice blue There's a pretty like lavender kit I think I printed from either the Journal Boat, or it may have even been My Porch Prints. I don't remember, but I'm gonna do another folio in like a lavender, so that will be nice. And yeah, I think there's like a daisy one too that the Journal Boat has, so that might be fun for like the spring. I like these blues, I guess, because of the winter. Although there's a lot of fun, summery, I don't know, English garden, French country type pictures. I'm not sure what the intention was, but they're gorgeous. All right, now we have this part cut, and save all these ends. We're going to use them throughout our decorating. And now we just want to measure across, so I'm going to decide now what's going to go where. Actually, I think I might have this on the outside and this on the inside. Like so. I really like that. So I'm going to measure this one first. And this kind of has like this piece running through it. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. All right, so what I'm going to do is just turn it over, kind of line it up so that I have almost an equal lip kind of around all the sides. And then just inside of my scoring line there, I'm going to mark that and cut it. All right, so no measuring for this part. And again, if you're using a different size envelope, obviously these sizes are, you know, the size up and down is not going to work for you. So you, you know, just eyeball it and make it work for yours. So like that. So now we have like a nice edge all around, and I will do the same for all of these. I'm just going to flip it over, kind of eyeball it, make sure everything looks even, and then just, I don't know, maybe that's just under 1/4 of an inch, maybe it's a little more than 1/8 of an inch. Cut that for there. And it doesn't have to be perfect in my book, but if you want to really measure this up well for yourself, go right ahead. I kind of like, you know, I like that handmade look, so this goes this way, right? Yes. All right, so we'll cut this one. Yeah, to each their own. I mean, you know, some people are want to be more precise, and then you got me who will just wing it. Nice. I put on gloves so I don't get the ink, but it's everywhere. I cannot avoid it. Yeah, just a tip. I was tea dyeing and coffee dyeing, and I usually just do a few pages, but I did like batches of them for this project I'm doing, and wear gloves is all I can say, because my hands were so stained. Like it latches into the dry skin that, you know, seems to form around your cuticles, and you know, this time of year, the winter, it's very dry. So oh my goodness, for days it was just, I looked grungy and grubby, which is fine. It's okay. It's okay. Paper trail, ink, grubby fingers, it's a sign of a good crafter. Okay, and that one there. All right, so we have all of our pieces cut now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause and ink these all up, and then I'll come back on and we'll glue them down, and then we'll cut a strip for this here. Let's do that before I jump off. And what did I use out here? I used the, let's see, what do I have? I could use a piece of this. I don't want the polka dots. You know what, it's really not going to be seen, so maybe I can just get away with a piece of, so I'm going to cut that. See, oh, this one's already cut to size, so I just got to cut it for the width. So for here, I'm gonna take it in just, you know, on each side about the same that I did here and measure that off. So let's see what's gonna look good here, because this is where our journal is gonna go, and I'm gonna actually punch some holes here to put some elastic through, or string. And so I just want to have a good enough piece here to do that. And then I think I'll cut the back piece at the same time so I know that they are the same size. So let's do this one to about there. And on the back, what am I doing? I'm doing that. So I'm doing this on each cover. So I think I'll match this one if I can find it. I know they're here somewhere. Okay, here. Here we go. All right, is this one? Nope, wrong one. Is it this one? Yes, okay. So these should be the same height. They are, or width, or height. I was right the first time. I'm just gonna cut them the same width. Okay, I hope you're following along. So there's a piece on the other side, on the opposite side, that I'm gonna cut at the same time, and then I can ink everything at once. So this piece here. Okay, so I'm gonna use this blue here. I will cut these off, and then what I'll do is ink everything up, and then I'll come back and you can watch me glue. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so here's what I did. I inked, but I also sewed. Now, if you don't like to sew, you don't want to sew, you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't have the time to sew, or your sewing machine has disappointed you in the past, getting through all but 8 cards and then jamming. Not that that's ever happened to me, but if that's ever happened to you before and you don't want to sew, don't sew. You don't have to sew. I like the finished look of sewing, even if my machine disappoints me from time to time. Just saying. All right, so now, this will go here. And I actually had another thought as well while I was sewing, which is how I think the best. Shower and sewing. If you want to put some flaps throughout, for instance, we put this piece down here, and we want to have a little flappy thing that kind of comes off the side. This is a little long, but you're going to want to have these down before you put these pages down on your final base, okay? So and I'm going to do a couple of these, so if you want to follow along and you hoard these reply envelopes like I do and you want to get rid of a few, then don't glue everything down yet. You'll just put it where it's going to go, and then we'll work on the decorating. Now, if you are not going to put any flaps, I'm going to do kind of like I did in my last one where it flips up. But if you're not going to do anything like that, then you can just put everything down. You can just glue it all down. I think I would like to use up some of these and have some additional interest within the folio. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to stop this one here. I'll just quickly show you where everything lays. So these went here, like so. And I do like the way, this will actually go this way. I do like the way that the sewing kind of gives it a finished look. And I do want to sew before I put these down, because I really don't want to go and try to line up 2 layers of paper. It's hard enough to sew one sometimes. So, hey, if you are a genius like that, you go ahead, but I would prefer to sew them so that you know you're not seeing the seams through the other side, and it just makes it easier. And if you screw this up, you didn't wreck your base, you can just cut out another card and start all over. Okay, so that's gonna go there, and then this will go here, and I think I might do some additional stuff on the cover, and I also think I'm gonna leave the side open to kind of do a pocket there as part of the cover layout. So that's what I'm gonna do there. I did ink these spines, so those will go kind of, this is the center inside. So this will go here, and then these are the inner. And I do like the way that matches, though. You know, you could also use some washi here, or some colored duct tape if that's what you have. I'm not going to sew this because it's too tiny a space, and I'm afraid it'll just make it more like a piece of perforated ticket or something instead of it being what it is. I could add some black ink around the outside to kind of match this darker brown thread, but I'm not worried about it. I think the journal's going to cover this anyway, so I'm not even concerned. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave it today. In the next video, whenever you're watching this, I we'll work on some flaps. So go ahead and call all your neighbors and ask them if they have any of these, if you don't hoard them like me, or dig through your junk mail pile. Check your mailbox. I'm gonna have a couple of these. I might cut some of these in half. Window, non-window. I think I'm just gonna cover this up anyway rather than get into the whole cutting out the window thing. But you know, if you wanna do that, you can do that on yours. And then we'll glue this stuff down, and then we'll get into some additional embellishing. And then maybe in the last video, we'll put together the inner journal, and then get this whole thing wrapped up. So maybe 3 or 4 videos to this series. We'll see how it goes. But this is video 1, and when all of these are done, I'll put the links to all of the videos in the description so you can check it out there and go through the entire thing. I'll also create a playlist for this so that you can just check my playlists, and this will be in there. All right, thanks for joining me today, and I will see you in part 2 soon. Bye!